Hello, hello. Oh, sorry. Hello. Let me sit up. I don't think. I hope I'm on. Hello. Peace, YouTube. This is FleurBrun. It didn't even give me notice that I was going on. I may not be on. Oh, y'all can see me. Hey, everybody. Let me sit up. Hey, hey, hey. Peace, YouTube. Let me get proper. Peace to the east, the west, the north, and the south. This is FleurBrun coming to today with another discussion. Check on in. Hey, everybody. I know I started the live. I didn't even think it was going to start yet because I kind of just, usually it gives me a pause, but it likes to, YouTube likes to throw me off a little bit. Peace, YouTube. My doggies are out here, so they might be a little loud, okay? Sagittarius is always on the move. You know what I'm saying? Always on the move, okay? It's a little loud inside, so check on in. Okay, I'm gonna get comfortable while you guys check on in. I hope everybody's well. I know the world is chaotic. This is the ambassador of the Thugian liaison. Check on it. Now let me know that my the sun is, oh, I'm sorry, y'all. The sun is going down finally, so. Am I muted? Let me know if I'm muted or not. Can you guys hear me? I'm gonna have to put my dogs in. You see them? Look at them. You see that? That's my crew. You wanna see who I roll with? You can hear me? You wanna see who I roll with? Who's this? Many of you know that's Babette. That's Frost. Where's Frost? Frosty. Where'd they go? Where's my road dogs? There they go. Where's it? Babette's here. That's Lola and Babette. Where's Fi? Fi's back there being mischievous. See Fi? And there's one more. Where's my other one? Where's my little baby? Where's the baby? Frosty. Frost? Where are you, Frosty? Frost. Did she show up? Frosty. Where's Frosty? Frost. Frost is over there investigating. Check out. Oh, you're gonna drop my water, babe. Come on. Okay. I've got my glass water bottle over here, y'all. See the dogs? Oh, Fi's looking at y'all. Look, Fi's looking at y'all. Okay, so everyone's good? All right. Yeah, there's a lot going on, so I wanted to check on him. My eyes turn a little bit. We're going to talk about a couple of topics today. I know there's a lot of purposeful remote plane crashes, as you know. A lot of different geoengineered false flags, right? So, after the inauguration, and I've jumped timelines, so check on in. Yes, I've relocated once again. Yeah, so it took me a while. Moving with a dog pack and children is never easy, so I'm finally relaxing so I can make a video with y'all. So I'll only come to you when I have time and I have something to talk to you about. I'm not one to make videos just to make videos, just to for icks and giggles. I'll make videos when it's appropriate and relative to what's going on. Okay, I'll wait until everyone checks in. I hope everybody's well. Yeah, listen. Fi? No. Patuche sa? Fi? Vini? Hello. My dogs only respond. When they're doing something naughty, it's crazy. This is when you're raised by a Creole. They only respond when I speak to them in French. If it's something that I want them to stop doing. It's probably my fault, right? So check on in. I know I see early calm. I'm not in the same, I'm getting used to my environment right now. So. You gonna let them in? Did she open the door? Yeah, they did. Can you let them in? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I'm a little distracted. I've got the doggy fan base. They're going inside. They don't want to go inside, but they're going to go inside. All right. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. Okay, so I can concentrate more. When they're outside, I just want to make sure they're safe. It's a new environment. I want to make sure everybody's all good in the hood. Okay. So, are we at 500? We're almost at 500. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to keep the camera up. I got I got the girls out, and I don't want to offend because some of you think I'm a harlot. Maybe I am, but that's not the topic of discussion, right? Someone called me a harlot one day. I was like, maybe I am, but that's not the topic. So being a harlot does not mean you don't have topics of relativity, okay? So, all right. I actually took notes because there's a lot going on, so I wanted to make sure that we could discuss what's going on in the world. I hope everybody's well. I jumped timelines, and I'm going to talk about it in regarding to a couple of things that occurred, which will make my share more relative today. Okay? Okay, Susu. Okay. You hear the pigeons? These are like they almost sound like doves, but they're pigeons. At least I think they're pigeons. You hear them? Hey, Melissa. Okay. If I drop they might be doves. I hear them. It's a new location, so I haven't seen who's making the sounds yet. So maybe we'll figure it out together. Okay? We got a couple more times. I'm trying to get comfortable. I'm trying to keep the girls up. I have my shirt. Let me button my shirt, y'all, because the shirt is... Okay. Is that better? There we go. Oh, stop. I could actually button it. Hold on. Let me button my shirt so I don't distract you. Hold on, y'all. The moment I wake up, and then I put my makeup, I say a little prayer for you. Okay, okay. Is that better? You make me have to pinch these. Mon Dieu. Dios. Okay, so, all right. Bustin' Loose, right? Remember Bustin' Loose? That was a good movie, right? Okay, so, we're at $4.99. Let's get it, okay? So we're going to talk about a couple things that have happened. We're going to talk about TikTok, basically creating a new spyware, giving the millennials... No, it wasn't millennials. The poor Gen Zs were crying online. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about... the 7%ers, we're going to talk about the 5%ers, the 3%ers, we're going to talk about the geoengineered plane crashes, we're going to talk about the fires of mass destruction. Again, we're going to talk about the Willy Wonka's terraforming the planet and the body with parasites. So where should we begin? There's so much to discuss. So let's kind of talk about the whole TikTok 12-hour debacle. Now, many of you who were waiting for the whole TikTok to be canceled, at least in the U.S., and I noticed that a lot of young people were really distraught and upset, and I don't want to make fun of them because, again, because we're from a new I'm from Generation X, about 2 generations away from them. What mattered to us was important and relative to us, and if we were upset about something, it mattered. So I wouldn't want to make them feel as if the things that they're growing up with technology, they're growing up with all this social media. It's totally different than how we grew up. So to make fun of them or to try to spoof them is ridiculous. So I won't do that. But I will say this, for anyone who was somewhat awake, you should have realized that them supposedly removing TikTok a day prior to your president's inauguration was suspicious. Why the day before the inauguration? Why was the inauguration on the day of Martin Luther King's birthday, which switches all the time, right? Why were there so many things that were switching and changing, and a lot of threats being made with ICE and a few things right before? Okay, so we're going to kind of talk about them. So with the TikTok, many of you realize, I hope you realize now, even though many of you went over to Red Note, which is another Chinese app, very similar to, I think, TikTok, but just more I toned down because it's ran in China and the CCP has restrictions, and there is definitely censoring of language and topics, right? So some of you realize that fairly quickly when you talked about Taiwan, or making sure that anything that was piloted or would trigger a response from Red Note via its regulations with the CCP. It is a communist country, which I don't think many of you overstand and understand. So, TikTok was scheduled to be, totally taken off I think it was the 19th, and it was. Many of the Gen Z were crying online. Millennials were upset. Millennials are fighters. So the millennials, they're like the newbies of the techies, and they were willing to do whatever needed, protest, go in, do what they had to do to make their voices known that they weren't happy with governmental regulations. Now, let me just state this. The reason why TikTok was originally taken down was because of AIPAC not liking young brown people talking about Palestine and speaking up regarding some of the assassinations of children that are going on over there. Now, many of you understand that assassination and imprisoning children, regardless if you're in a so-called war, and I can't imagine being in a war when it's only one-sided and there's no weapons of mass destruction on one side, because the people are so poor and they don't have the ability to fight back. So, it's kind of like the same colonizing, Europeans colonizing a country, calling it protecting themselves, and basically vilifying all the brown people, saying they're ungrateful that they're getting water and so on. So, that's all a setup over there. I don't really want to talk about it because it doesn't make sense, but that's really what was going on as far as TikTok is concerned. The AIPAC did not like young people speaking up against the genocide that's occurring. Now, realize the genocide isn't just occurring in Palestine, which I'm just really frustrated that people don't realize. The same Israeli forces are also responsible, as they found a whole bunch of missionaries that were just taken in the Congo that were there murdering children and women over there as well. So I don't think many of you realize that that's what was going on. I don't hold my speech. So if this is, let me give you a little just a little forewarning. If you are highly sensitive, if you are geoengineered to use perfect terms, not trigger YouTube to attack you, if you're scary and you don't like topics that could bring a little heat to you, this is not the channel for you. I speak my mind, I do what I want to do, and it doesn't matter what they do or say, because the truth is the truth, okay? So if that bothers you, if having big tetas bothers you, a woman of color speaking up on things that are obvious or should be, or maybe you're an NPC and you have a cap consciousness, and I'm disturbing your hardware, your fireware is starting to glitch out. This is not the channel for you. Okay, I just give you that because I'm gonna go on in. So the reason why TikTok was going to be taken down was for truly for that. And really in itself, you say, well, FleurBrun, that doesn't matter. What does it matter that APAC was disturbed, that young youth were speaking up against the atrocities that were happening abroad in Palestine, which I wish they would talk about the Congo, which is amazing to me. I guess the darker the skin, the more they're unprotected or unworthy to speak about. The Congo, to me, the Palestinians are decimated, but in the Congo, because of the gold, and I already told you who sells the gold. If you want to if you want to follow the yellow brick road and see who is selling gold, I haven't seen an African ever selling gold in Manhattan. I haven't seen an African selling gold in LA or California. So I don't understand why this is like, it shouldn't be rocket science to realize that there is some parasiting vampire behavior going on with the resources in Africa, and that is being redistributed, and diamonds, thank you, and cobalt, and all of the other resources. That is all being basically colonizers from Israel, and the United Fakes. I don't listen. I could talk about Israel because I could talk about the United States, and they're two of the same, okay? They're ran by the same people, all right? So those people were upset about them, young people talking about what's going on, and they wanted to control it. Now, what you don't realize, y'all, is that even though the young people were talking about it, the reason why they didn't want necessarily want TikTok taken down necessarily, they wanted to be able to get your IP addresses. Did you hear me? Did you hear me though? They wanted your IP addresses, y'all, and they couldn't get it because it was a foreign owner, so they couldn't get all of your information, so they can dox you, get your information, terrorize your family. You'll have a car crash, you don't even realize it, thinking it's an accident, and it's really APAC or the United Fakes. Well, this one in the same, APAC and the United States. Hold on, let me gloss it up for you. Okay. So they couldn't get it. So guess what they did? Just like the Bioborg, who gave the Hitler sign, the High Hitler himself, the Nazi, Bioborg, Elon Musk, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Basically, they wanted to get your information. So just like Elon Musk bought Twitter, bought Twitter, in order to control the narrative and to be able to act as if he was coming on there to save the day of free speech. But then he ended up getting rid of a whole bunch of groupers and destroying people that spoke against him. So he was just a very billionaire Bioborg, ran by probably the Dark Lords on the top, coming over and acting like he's saving the day, but it's just another control system. And it's the same with TikTok. So TikTok was taken down for 12 hours. And do you know why, my beautiful, young, beautiful, naive Gen Zers? So that they can purchase it, make a deal behind the scenes, and 12 hours to change over the hardware, the malware, so that they can trace everyone who joins TikTok now. So that 12 hours is about the 12-hour turnover it took to be able to change the server, so that now the United Fakes and APAC can now track every single person on TikTok. So while you were crying and upset and going over to another geoengineered site that is ran by a communist country, China, you going over and giving your information with backdoor malware that was basically tracking you on Red Note. I don't know how smart you were to do so. So, so they can track you there. But then you ended up going back on TikTok, and now APAC is following all of you and all of the things you do and all the things you say, and tagging you and putting you on a list, putting you on a naughty list, so that be careful. You know what I'm saying? If someone gets in a car accident, someone falls off the roof, someone breaks their leg, someone accidentally gets a pneumonia, I'm just saying, you already know how they get down. I don't know why people act like this is not the state of the country we're in right now, but this is what's going on. Okay? So for all you TikTokers who are so sad but then happy and relieved that you could come on and share all your feelings and emotions and share it with the world to make you trackable, dispensable, and taggable, congratulations. Okay. If you notice, TikTok was never my thing because I just know better. No, I don't know how many people, because you hear woke information on TikTok doesn't mean the actual TikTok is for that. It just is a trap and it's a lure to now fully, totally get you on there to express yourself, any anti-governmental, information that you like to get down with saying, they can nicely tag you. So if something happens, I'm just give you the warning. You already were warned. You should have known, because anyone woke who's on TikTok, I would question their wokeness. Okay? There's nobody truly a whistleblower who's using TikTok apps. Okay? I don't think any apps are safe, to be honest. I just, you get a lot of great information on TikTok, but it comes at a cost, and any of that information is now being directed to APAC so they can nicely track you and disturb your peace of mind or your families. Okay? So anyway, so we talked about that. And then I actually jumped, many of you know I was relocating. I was, leaving, and it took me a lot of time to do so, a little stressful. And one of the things that happened was, because I guess the nature of the convergence with all of this energy that's coming frequency wise, the magnetosphere, because of the pole shift, is causing for gravitational pull to be different. Also, it's causing for the meridians in the body, the chakra system, to start to realign itself to adjust to the new magnetosphere. And because of that, a lot of us, because at the end of the cycle, which we're going towards reset, we're going through a convergence where all the timelines, all the alternate versions of yourself start to merge. But sometimes it gets quickened if you're going through stress, if you're sick. Well, at least for me, it happens. But I think for a lot of you, it's been occurring where there's a lot of things stressors going on in your life, and it can actually amplify your merging into alternate timelines. And I actually happen to do so. So I'll actually speak about that, and then we'll go into a host of other things. And because I jumped into another timeline, I ended up into a land of the lipless people. Oh, it is a pigeon. It's a pigeon, y'all. I don't know if you can see it. It's a pigeon. I told you it was a pigeon. I'm from New York. I should know pigeons, right? It's probably a spy. Remember, birds aren't real? Where's Mahogany? Mahogany was in my group at the time. She was one of the original zombies. And she followed this guy who said, the birds aren't real. And we realized that a lot of the pigeons had, well, they weren't real, like digitalized, geoengineered hardware by DARPA, here spying. And this pigeon is nicely, it could be one of the fake pigeons up here, right? Anyway, doesn't matter. Birds aren't real. Charging, who said that? Charging on the power line, right? No filter. Yo, he's looking. It is what it is. If I'm talking online, it don't matter if he's listening, because I'm already expressing it online. All right, so I jumped timelines, and just a little stress, just moving with, a big family, doing a lot of paperwork, just a lot of stress. And then I ended up jumping timelines with the lipless people. But before that happened, I switched into a timeline where, I had an alternate version of myself coexisting with Brother Rich. Big up to Brother Rich on the channel that Brother Rich is on, that I come on every once in a while, Black Magic. So big up to Brother Rich. And I jumped into a timeline where Brother Rich, where he was coexisting as a polygamist, but he was very famous. And I ended up being one of the women that he was courting to bring into the system of other women. So it was interesting because, well, listen, y'all, this has not happened in the time. I flipped into a timeline where I jumped into a body where I coexist there, but I'm not. Radiohead is also his name, Black Magic. Thank you. I actually jumped into a timeline where I was coexisting with Rich in an alternate version of himself and myself, and actually stayed there for just for a short period of time to witness how I coexist there. And in that timeline, Brother Rich was a polygamist. Well, I don't know if it's he had a concubine. Yeah, like Susu said, like a concubine, and he was actually courting me for being one of the women to come into the home because he felt that I was wise and it felt like it would bring more balance to the house with the other women. And I remember I was in the house, and this is quick, y'all. I don't know if it matters to some of you. I'm just going to talk about the timeline where I coexisted with Rich, and also, Coach Carlson was there as well. And I was in the house, coming to the house, and he was going on a date with a really pretty brown skinned girl. I didn't recognize who it was at the time. I'll tell you who it was after I saw Black Planet. The day after I jumped into the timeline, he had an interview with a young lady, which was crazy because that was the girl that the girls in the house had a problem with. So there was another girl who was the top girl that he really liked. She looked kind of like Cardi B, and she was upset. I just told her, it'll be fine, kind of consoled her a little bit. But he was going out on a date, and it bothered her the most. And this young girl was very pretty, young brown-skinned girl, and you could tell he really liked her. But I was being invited to the house to join into this group of women that he had as a concubine. What concubine? Like a polygamous thing. He was a lot more famous than he is now. I think he had a studio in the room that I came in that the girls had a big bed. It was like a big round bed, and two of the girls were there. And I remember one of the Zoom views was saying, "This is not for you." She came and she was like, "This is not for you." But he was in there. But during this time also, the girl he was going out with was Erin Lyons. That was the girl in this timeline who he was going out on a date. It was crazy because he really, really liked her, and everyone in the house really, it bothered them. And I was trying to reassure the girls that, it doesn't take away your position, but you could feel the excitement, the admiration when he went out. You could just feel it. And at the time, I didn't realize the day after he was doing an interview with her, which was crazy. That I didn't know who it was because I didn't know the young lady. I've seen her previous on his show, but I didn't recognize who it was until I saw it on the show. I was like, that's the girl that he went out with the same day after. That's why I say when you're going into alternate timelines, everything's in real time. Like it's in a loop. So everything is going chronologically in the same alignment. So just as he's doing an interview with her the next day is when I enter into an alternate timeline where he's coexisting, dating her. So it's like we all know each other in different positions and different timelines. We all have a different position with each other. Like it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. If you ever watch The Wizard of Oz or The Wiz, Dorothy, when she goes, she's in Kansas. But when she jumps and she's taken up by the tornado from Kansas into the land of Oz, she still carries the signature of the people from Kansas, but now they're replicated in different positions and different type of beings in Oz. So they're still there. So even though he's doing an interview with her in this realm, in the other alternative realm that I jumped into, the other timeline, he was dating her, okay? And I was being courted for the position. It was very interesting how that happened, right? So I just wanted to give an example because everyone in your life in each timeline is still important, but they take a different position and a different role in your life, okay? And as many of you know, I'm not a fan of Coach Carlson, but in that realm, and when I was coexisting in the realm with Brother Rich, when he was in his concubine, I actually was a fan of Coach Carlson, and I guess I was like promoting him, and I was cheering him on in the back while I was on in a theater, some sort of maybe a Coliseum, I don't know what it was, and I was cheering him on and saying, hey, good job, keep going, and just encouraging him. And that's not, as you know, in this timeline, I'm not a fan of Coach Carlson, as you know. So I wanted to share the jump in timeline, but what happened is that even though I came back, I kind of shifted back into what I perceived to be my original timeline. I didn't. I thought I jumped back into my timeline because in this timeline, I'm still doing certain things that I was doing previously, but there were alternatives and the things that I was able to witness. And one of the things that I witnessed when we watched the inauguration, because of the Zombies, we actually watched the inauguration today, the day of the 20th, to see, we like to see the rituals, and we watched it together as a collective, which is amazing. So many things. But I noticed that I did jump timelines because as I'm watching the inauguration actually in the Capitol, that's how you know Biden was never in the Capitol, because the rooms that were actually inside of Washington, D.C., in the White House, I've never seen before. And some of them were oval. I just never seen the rooms before. And all of the people in the room, I mean, 90% of them, other than the one that had duck lips, they were all lipless. There wasn't anybody in the room that had lips. I don't know what kind of species that is. They could be lizards. It could be some type of gray. I actually think they're grays. And I think when I jumped timelines, I jumped in similar back into mine, but I didn't jump back into my original first timeline. I think I kind of merged a little bit because I jumped a little far out with Rich. I kind of jumped back, but I didn't jump back specifically in the timeline I came from originally. I think I ended up going into a timeline that was close. But when I jumped into this timeline, I looked into the room and there was no lips. And I was really freaking out. The zombies were laughing at me because they thought, and let me remind you, I'm not high. I'm not drunk. I do no drugs. I'm conscientious of everything. I am a parent. I am a conscious parent. So I know that when I jumped out and she came back in, all of a sudden, all of the grays. Now, the lipless people, I'm perceiving them as grays. The zombies think that they're reptilians. I've decloaked reptilians that I've decloaked. Some of them have lips, some of them have thinner, but I've never seen a whole room full of lipless people. I haven't seen it. And I really was bugging out because I was like, I'm in a different timeline. Because I had to ask the zombies, I was like, have you ever seen people lipless before? Like, I mean lipless, y'all. I'm talking about like they just had slits in their mouths. I don't know. Let me ask some of you. Did you guys actually, hey Dalmache, did you guys see the lipless people? You've seen the lipless people before. I'm not from your timeline. I think I jumped into your time. I've never seen lipless people before. Not like that, not in the droves. So I got a little nervous because I'm like, I don't know what species that is. I don't know if they're grays, cloaking as people. The whole room was full of lipless people. I just want you guys to please go and look for me and tell me what you think. Because maybe because remember, if you noticed lipless people before, then this is your timeline. If you didn't notice the lipless people and all of a sudden they're new to you, or just in the droves, I'm not saying they didn't exist, but I haven't seen people without lips like that ever. It was scary. I was a little nervous because I'm like, where am I going to go? Like, I don't know that you want to be in a timeline like that, especially if you don't know the species. Because if the whole government, if the oligarchy is being ran by lipless people, what's going to happen? Like, that's a whole nother species. I know that there's a multitude of species that are ruling over, governments in themselves are natural, as you see, okay? If you see how the government is acting now, you already know that these beings are unnatural. They're only for self-interest. They're lining their pockets. A lot of them are war criminals. I mean, but just to see them lipless, maybe I decloaked the grays, and I'm seeing an aspect of the grays that didn't decloak, didn't recloak themselves. So I want you guys to, if you just, I know you think I'm a little off, and many of you who come from this diaspora, you come from the UFO community, you already, it's not, I'm not insane. You may think I'm insane, but I want you to take a look at the inauguration. You don't have to. We basically were breaking down all the rituals, but I want you to take a look at it and tell me if you saw the lipless people or if that's natural for you. So after we're done with this video, please, I'd like to get a consensus to see if that was something that you saw and if you see lipless people a lot. Like, I've never seen that before. For me to get frightened, because you're in a timeline and you're thinking, I'm never going to get back. So, okay, so we talk about that and you realize that, the 7% of the people that are ruling over this realm that we coexist in are being directed by dark lords, because that's what they worship, and they like to cloak themselves. Many of them like to wear a lot of black. That's why you see people who are deep into rituals like to wear black, because the skin of the ones who are ruling over this realm are dark. They're dark. Okay. We talk about the dark lords that they worship. Beelzebub, Satan. Lucifer isn't a man, though. Even though the Luciferian sector of the dark Kabbalists, that is a woman, and she's represented by the color blue. Okay, Azul. Okay, usually you'll hear the name Azul. Remember when you watch? Remember, did you guys ever watch Ghostbusters? Remember? Do you guys remember Ghostbusters? Remember when the woman came home to her apartment and she went into her fridge and she opened up the fridge and there was like two dogs that looked like the food dogs, the Asian food dogs. And this woman that was standing there, and she said, Zool. Remember that? Zool, right? Okay. I don't know. Do you guys remember that? Like food dogs. They look like the Asian food dogs that are for protection, right? Do you remember that? Zool. That's who Lucifer is. Lucifer is a female, and it's represented by blue, and it's who the Luciferians. That's who they are in alignment with. Even though Satanists and Luciferians are always tied together, it's like a sector. It's like Christianity has different versions as like an umbrella, and you have Christians that are Catholic, you have Christians that are Protestants, you have Christians that are Seventh Day Adventists. Who else? Baptists. It's just, but Christianity is the umbrella. Oh, gargoyles? Was it gargoyles? Okay. And a trans woman. Maybe it was. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry for all those who can't call themselves. I'm really, really disturbed that Trump took away my right to call myself a trans frog. And I really was appreciating that. I was really benefiting from being a trans frog. And he took away my ability to call myself a trans Jewish gay man. I really feel assaulted by that, and I'm unsure if I could sue the federal government for being able to take away my trans identity as Zer. I just feel a little lost ever since he did that. Why does he get to be orange, but then he makes us all be who we were really born to be? How come he gets to do fake and bakes and go in and turn orange, but we got to stay what we are? I think that's hypocritical. Like, stop getting fake and bakes if you want us to be who we are. Like, why don't we just all show our true selves? You know what I mean? Take the snuffleupagus eyelashes off if we want to truly be ourselves. Let's just really show it all. I'm sorry, y'all. I had a little bit of a triggering moment. You know what I mean? Taking away my rights. You know what I mean? Now it's just female and male. Like, God, how boring a world. I was really getting into the trans thing. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's talk about the 7%. I took notes. Hold on, y'all. I got my lip gloss. My lip gloss be popping. My lip gloss be cool. Take me after school. What you know about me? What you remember that song? That was my daughter's favorite song. Oh, she loved it when she was little. I played that song. She thought it was so cute. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I'm still here. I'm looking at my notes. Hold on. Okay. So let's go in. I took notes so that I can stay on topic. I don't have really a topic, but so I can stay more focused, okay? So let's go on. Okay, hold on. So, okay. So we're talking about the 7% colonists, the vampiric takeover of ancient reverse engineered technology given to them by the Greys who do the bidding of the Nordics. That's a lot, right? Let me read that again. I wrote this last night. Oh, this is actually, I was able to, I don't know what it is about Rod Hayes. Big up to Rod Hayes. I was listening to his interview on Black Magic with Radiohead, which is Brother Rich. And all of this information was downloaded during the time where I'm listening. I think because he's the monkey man, the sick ape, big up to Rod Hayes. You know, the ape, we're going to talk about the apes that are cloaked here that are people are seeing, and the whole psyop that they were saying that the apes from the lab in South Carolina got escaped, but they were basically trying to cloak that there were really giant apes that were using cloaking technology, like on the Predator, like the Predator technology. There's a video where we decloaked it. We actually saw the ape. Because of the zombies, we decloaked it. There's tall ape beings that are here. And I actually think it's because the scout ships that are here dropped off those apes, and they're here to pick up the scouts that were left here, which is the Sasquatch. We'll get into that in a minute. Let me talk about the 7%. So because he was talking, I got like all these wonderful downloads. And I think it's because it's just his energy allows for, I almost feel like it allows for me to get the information underneath his frequency. So a lot of this I was able to get during Rod Hayes talking. It's not like I wasn't listening. I was able to listen, but I was still getting downloads, taking notes as I was listening to him. So amazing. That's, I'm just really in alignment with him. And let me state this, because some of you perverted women, I don't know if you want Rod Hayes, or do you have an affinity for him? I'm not sleeping with a man. We have no sort of relationship. Stop writing me letters talking or messages talking about Rod Hayes. He's a man. And I'm sorry that men that are attracted to women are getting abused and attacked, because, men, please don't let these women diminish your manhood. You are supposed to be attracted to women. The fact that you would write me, you very sick, very low vibrational women, and tell me that he likes women. Oh, well, God darn it. I hope he does. I hope he does. And a man liking women, attractive women that are cute and saucy, I didn't know that was a crime. So stop writing me. It's very telling of who you are. Like, do you want him? Write him a letter. Don't write me. I just did an interview with him one time. I think some of you people are mentally ill. Or if you're attracted to him sexually, write him a letter. Maybe he'll like you. Don't write me, please. Anyway, let me go. So let's talk about the 7% of the colonists' vampiric takeover using ancient reverse engineering. This is what I got when I was listening to Rod. Using ancient reverse engineer technology given to them by the Greys, who do the bidding of the Nordics, okay? So they worship, so many of you don't realize nobody talks about the Nordics anymore. You don't know. This is another thing. We're living in a holographic system where AI is generating the algorithm that most people are being exposed to. And if one isn't real, remember, I'll talk about the only amount of people real with souls in here are 3%. I don't know if you watched the show in Brazil. Big up to Brazilians. Bondage, my Brazilians. Big up to my Brazilian family. Anytime you see my hair, well, I didn't get to show you. Anyway. The 3%, if you not watch it, I really like the show. 3% of the population is real. The rest are either hybrids, clones, stand-ins, walk-ins, like I say, empty seaters, which are just holographic people filling in the space of this holographic system. Okay. So, most of the people here aren't real. So whenever AI is promoting something, it can promote something in the algorithm, and all the NPCs just follow in accord. They have a cylindrical program, and they are ran by the AI system in this place. The 7% are the colonistic vampires that are ruling over this realm. I told you they hijacked. They're like the forever. They're like the triple OGs that are imprisoned here because they do so much dark. They won't change. They've learned how to hijack the system because there was a group of interdimensionals that came here who made an agreement with them that if they give them certain humans and they lower the frequency so that they could feed off of the loosh, that they would give them technologies to keep them in rulership over this low vibrational imprisonment realm. Okay? So because of that, all of the governmental systems are dark, ran by dark lords, and they're basically lowering the frequencies purposefully with wars, heartache, promoting things that are dark, poisoning people, just basically doing the most in order to keep people at a certain layer so that these entities can feed off of the loosh. Now, I don't know if many of you watch, I don't know if you had little ones or some of you watch Monsters, Inc. Did any of you watch Monsters, Inc.? Anybody? Do you remember how the monsters were powering their world? They were, remember? Let me see if anybody remembers that. Okay. They were going in, scaring children in the middle of the night, and those screams and that fear was basically powering their world. So the children's fear fear and sadness was basically feeding and fueling their world for energy. Okay. Now, if you watch The Matrix, you already realize that the human body was being used as a battery in order to feed those bots, those robotoids, those syntheticas, those the sentinels, right? They were using it as an energy harvesting system. So you do know they do that, right? So basically with the 7%, they're parasites. But the ones that are so-called human now, the 7%, those are also beings that are here. Some are hybrids, some are actually humans that lost the ability to leave here because they're triple OG prisoners from doing so many psychopathic things over here. They're psychopaths. If you stay in this hologram too long, you too will become a psychopath. But they were given some technology from interdimensionals in order to exchange it for the energy for themselves. So they sold us out here in this realm. Okay? That's what all the kidnapping, all of the harvesting of the organs. I mean, I even heard a young lady on one of these channels talk about she was in a Uber. Be careful with the Ubers, y'all. She was in an Uber. She called the Uber. And you think Uber is safe. She called the Uber, got in the car. She's chilling. She got her headphones on. And this guy all of a sudden started putting his hood on, put his shirt on underneath his face. And she was looking at him like, why is he doing that? And he's looking in the rear view mirror at her. And she notices there's some sort of smoke, like steam coming from like this little thing in the middle, like smoke. And she instantly like jumped into motion and knew, oh my God, something's going to happen. And she jumped out of the car. And even though she jumped out of the car, she was real loopy. She tried to run to people to get help. She felt like dizzy. So these motherfuckers are getting really brazen. Like they're just basically drugging girls left and right, and really realize we're at the end of a cycle, young ladies and sun stars. You do know that if you are, let me tell you who they're trying to kidnap, and there's different reasons for the kidnapping, and I'll kind of discuss what the 7% are doing. So there's kidnapping for breeding programs. So lunar young girls, very attractive, from the ages from anywhere from little to about 25. They're trying to kidnap you. Okay, they usually use you for breeding or for sexual deviancy or for those what is it called? Those rooms where millionaires and billionaires get paid money. They pay a lot of money. What are they called? Snuff films or snuff rooms where they pay a lot of money to get young girls in there and rape them or cut off pieces of their hand, their foot, their nose, or their tongue, eat it in front of them and terrorize them and then rape them and then kill them and then rape them again post-mortem. Okay? Or for breeding. I'm not making this up. Okay? There's plenty of movies that the Hostel. I don't know if you remember watching The Hostel when, young people were going in Europe at the time. And I remember, I don't know if you guys remember in Russia, back in the days, if you were going to Eastern Europe, they would tell you, they put a caution when you got off the plane because they would tell you that harvesting organs was normal, that you may go to your hotel room and get drugged and they will take your spleen out and leave you in a tub of ice with a note saying, to do what, directions what to do. So we were getting warnings before because I was going to go to quite a few years ago, I was going to go to Russia to get Lalik. I'm a real big fan of Lalik crystals. And you could go to like Russia to go get it. So I wanted to go get go to Russia directly to Gatlalik, and I remember they giving a red alert to melanated girls because we were the number one people that they wanted to harvest organs for. Now, people say, well, FleurBrun, okay, so the lunar girls, they're trying to kidnap you for breeding programs. So if you're a very attractive young lady and you're not paying attention, they kidnap you for breeding and also for snuff films. For melanated women, they're stealing your wombs. Now, a lot of people, this is not allegedly, this is what I've heard from physicians, is that they will tell women that something's wrong with their womb and tell them to get a hysterectomy for having one fibroid, which you could get rid of by just fasting and stop eating cheese, meat, and all this kind of chemicalized things, and go get some goddamn sun and go swim in the ocean for like 7 to 8 days. The fibroids will dissipate. And stop sleeping with men with worms. Men with worms, and big up to Marilis, who was part of our group in Zumbi, who told us, she works in the medical field, that even a healthy man has 5 worms, 5 parasites in his sperm. And if you have sex with him, you will most likely be infected. And it's my opinion that most likely these worms are why women have fibroids, okay? Because we found out that these parasites are going in people's bodies. And I'm not a doctor. I'm a crazy person. I'm mentally ill. This is a lie. Don't listen to me. This is a skit. That they basically, a lot of the parasites are building like pus balls, like little mountains, like mounds inside of people to protect themselves, like, to control. So basically, it looks like it's something like pus or like a lesion, but really it's because the parasites are in there. And then when they try to do the poke it, they just release the pathogens all in the body. I don't know what I'm talking about. This could be a lie. Okay. So, the women of color, if you are of ages from birth, and, I've already talked to the C-stars, when we go and give birth in the hospitals, you should not be giving them your afterbirth. And the reason for this, the pumping up of C-sections, oh, you need C-sections, because the best afterbirth, the best of your afterbirth is, they want it specifically not through the vagina anymore, the yoni. They want it directly out of the womb. They say that it has a better quality. So now they'll make it seem like you have to get a C-section, or you should schedule it. Like, what woman would want to get a C-section? Okay. So now they're scheduling women to get C-sections and taking their afterbirth, because you should be you getting paid $50,000 per afterbirth, because all those stem cells from melanated women, because melanated women are the progenitors of all the other life forms, and also if they have the strongest bloodlines, they can use that to stimulate stem cells inside themselves, because a lot of these vampiric beings are hybrids. They've been so they have the lowest genealogy. They don't have the genetic dexterity to survive in the sun or just to live properly. So they need melanated people's organs to be able to sustain themselves. So they're vampires. Okay, they like to get the baby. So when you get an abortion and you think, oh, I can't have this baby, and oh my God, my boyfriend, he don't want me to have the child. But if you loved yourself, you wouldn't allow your baby to be killed and then be used as a food source for these vampires. So every time you get an abortion, remember, Planned Parenthood was busted using all those, and some of those aborted babies weren't even dead. So women, I know this is very hard. I don't know why you're promoting or wanting to protest to have the right to kill your babies. I don't understand what kind of mental illness you got going on. And people like, oh, well, what if someone's raped? The majority of girls and women are getting abortions aren't from rape and incest, y'all. I was born, but I wasn't born I wasn't born today. Okay? I wasn't born yesterday. The majority of women getting abortions because they're sleeping with poor, low vibrational males, or they don't have the self-control or the ability to stop engaging in sexual activity with people they wouldn't have children with. Okay? I'm just keeping it real. So if you protest, if you're pro wanting to kill babies, that's on you. But there's a certain kind of karma for you. And if you go in for the abortion, most likely your baby that they said was killed may have been sustained or even grown big enough so that they can take out pieces of its organ and use it for themselves. Stop having abortions. And women of color, you are the number one target for your babies, your aborted babies. You're the number one. Okay? They want your, because melanin is regenerative, and it basically can regenerate itself. And people who are without it, who are in this dark cabal, vampiric, cult hybrid system, they need your organs. That's why Africa is used as a organ system, or organ harvesting system. Okay. If you think I'm joking, just I don't have to be, I'm not telling you, making this up. You can do a little basic research and see this. Okay, Africa is the playground of the vampires. Billy Gates goes in there, gives a whole bunch of kill shots, to destroy the ability for people to reproduce. Remember, he just did that with one of these other ones, leaves the country, and all these couples trying to have children can't. And then for others, they basically are, especially for Haiti. I hope, Haiti, you don't let any of these people come in your country and come in there and take your babies like they did with the hurricane and earthquake. All they were doing was taking your babies. Especially Haitians come from the bloodline of the original Israelites. Big up to Haitians in here. Ça passe. Ça passe to my Haitian family in here, okay? For the Haitians, they use your bloodline to sustain themselves, because a lot of them are not the original Jews, okay? You are the original Israelite. Actually, all of the brown Americans from the Americas, you come from the bloodline of the Israelites, right? The 13 tribes of Sheba, okay? The different tribes. And they classified you as Negroes, which was Native American, which is in all the paperwork. And then they started to reclassify you again as colored, because they had to keep reclassifying you, because they had to take you further and further away from your indigenous nationality, from who you were. So, with each generation, you lost a lot of your ability to remember the tribes you came from, because you were the ones walking in the Trail of Tears. The ones on the reservations were the sellouts. Those were the ones that came and were coming from Asia, that were okay to do the treaties with the colonizers who came here, and they took them on. And because they agreed with they took on the agreements, they were allowed and given a plot of land to sit on, called reservations, right? But now they're called reservations, y'all. Reservations means it's not permanent. That's why the indigenous right now under Trump's system may be challenged, because they aren't the original beings that were the indigenous. The indigenous that were here, that were copper and dark colored, they were removed from those areas, and others were replaced on those reservations. And they are now, because they were placeholders just for the land, because the original contract or the treaties were made with people that weren't indigenous. So those reservations are now being satisfied, and now those people might be removed under the understanding that they aren't the originals. So they weren't native from the land. They were placeholders for the land. So they knew later on they wanted the land. So they had $5 Indians on them, so that they knew that when they wanted to pull the rug underneath their feet, generations, they wouldn't know they weren't the indigenous. And right now the indigenous are being challenged. The $5 Indians on those reservations are being challenged, because they aren't the original indigenous. They were the ones who signed the treaties. And the ones who were the originals were actually the ones who walked the Trail of Tears off of their land masses, and were told that they were going to go other places, and it was just basically a lie. Okay, so the $5 Indians, you were placeholders. And that's why, and how and it's no shade, y'all. Everybody's been lied to, but let me just keep it real. I'm going to give you a little fun fact. If you were truly the indigenous, there wouldn't be so much incest, child molestation, and alcoholism. Why is that happening? And how come on the reservations there isn't any progress? The native indigenous here were beautiful hunter-gatherers. They were growing societies. They were highly progressive. How come all of the reservations with all those $5 Indians haven't progressed past the day that they started? Because they aren't from here. You can't progress when you're cosplaying a whole national indigenous group when you aren't the people that were there. So that's why the people that are coexisting on those reservations don't look anything like myself. And I am over 60% indigenous from the Carib tribe and some Taino. And if you don't look like me, you aren't from the Americas. There are variations of people who look like me, but copper skin and darker skin is what was denoted by the Moors who came here, the Sephardic Jews who came over here and colonized these areas and gave invitations to Europe to come over to this landmass for free land and made these poor people leave Europe thinking they were going to get free land, but told them when they got here, you could get the land if you killed the Indians, the indigenous. And unfortunately, they left Europe, left everything they had to come here to start So don't get mad at the Europeans for coming over here because they were set up. And they were told after they gave up everything, because, you know, they were living in turmoil over there. Over there in Europe, it was buck wild, okay? Women were being raped, pillaged, taxes. It was disgusting. Okay, so they told the Europeans, come over here, come for free land. You could come. Imagine you left everything. Just like the migrants, you left everything that you had, everything that you love, and you came over here. And then they said, oh, by the way, we didn't tell you that there's people already coexisting here. But guess what? You get that land, but you got to get rid of them people. Okay? I'm not making this up. If for anyone who doesn't know this, you can check this information. And I really asked for the $5 Indians. You don't want to challenge an original indigenous from the Americas. I look like my people. We still exist. Our historical accounts are still in our oral traditions and our oral archives. So you don't want to challenge someone from the Americas. Okay? So when you telling these migrants to leave this country, especially when they were originally from this country, a lot of the migrants that you're over here saying, oh, you should leave. Well, listen, if we go by birthrights, 90% of everybody in the United States is going to have to leave. Because many of you didn't have passports, visas to come over here. Okay? So stop going after people who have closer ties to the landmass that they're on than many of you. Don't let me start. I'm sorry. If you're offended, then it is what it is. The truth is, it may bother you. But some of you don't know the truth, so I'm giving you some truth. And it doesn't take you, it's not hard for you to actually research it if you know what you're looking for. And if you think that I'm lying, for those of you who come from a certain kind of ignorance, go look at the images in Europe, in Spain and Madrid, over in the UK, in France. Go look at the images in the museum of the original people that Columbus saw when he came. There was an Asian face there. Okay? It was Asiatic a little bit with the eye setting and so on, but all of them were dark, and they thought they were part of, they found out that they thought it was Africans that were over here. If you want to further research this, ask why the now president of Mexico is acknowledging the black Indigenous, saying that they were here previous to the Asiatics and the Europeans. Go look it up if I'm a liar. Fun facts. Okay, let's get into the esoteric and the Cosmo information. So big up to all. Now, I don't want to disrespect any of the $5 Indians who are on those reservations. I'm just giving you clarification why they're coming after you. You were always a placeholder. You sold out the other ones. You didn't even take the Cherokee and the Choctaw and also the Blackfoot nations with the fake $5 Indians, and you gave such strife to the brown people trying to come and reacclimate into their own tribal base, and you told them that they weren't indigenous, that they were black people from Africa, not even realizing that you weren't even from here. And it was all a psyop. It's very sad. But now you know, and I hope you realize that you too were set up, but you're about to find out that you were a placeholder and they're going to take those lands, because the only reason they can take those lands is because the original indigenous aren't on them. That's why they're going to remove you, because you were placeholders. And if you were more progressive and you were really indigenous, you would have let the originals come back and grow together as a nation and start building and progressing, so that you wouldn't have been victims of what's going on. But now it is what it is. Okay, I wish you all well. I don't wish anything bad to happen to you, but you should have been, karma is a itch, right? Yeah. When you think something and you talk dirty and you mistreat a people, then and a lot of your ancestors were just barbaric in the things and the deeds that you did. Okay, so we talked about the 7%ers. Okay, let's see, 7% directives is to pervert soul beings and lower their harmonic frequencies, so they're unable to be extracted at the time prior to reset. Putting ground up children. Okay, so listen to what I wrote. 7% directives is to pervert soul beings and lower their harmonic frequencies, so they're unable to be at the time prior to reset. Now, there's several ways that they're dirtying up. The 7% is dirtying up the beings here. They're putting ground up children. The girl just went to McDonald's. She had her child eating a chicken McNugget. Why are you having your children eating chicken McNuggets after you see that paste, that pink paste made of all kinds of carcinogens on it? I just don't know. Maybe they don't know. But she just found her daughter was eating a piece of chicken McNuggets, and the little girl bit something and spit it out, and it was a tooth. And she was like, oh my God, my daughter's tooth, what was in it? Her tooth. And comes to find out, she looks in her daughter's mouth, and all her teeth are there. And she picked up the tooth. It was a child's tooth, a baby's tooth around 4 years, because her daughter, she thought it was her daughter's tooth. 4 years old, a tooth inside of the chicken McNugget, y'all. They want to dirty your frequency. Okay, remember the movie Golden Child with Eddie Murphy? Do you guys remember Golden Child, y'all? Anybody? Let me see who remembers that movie. Do you remember Golden Child? Do you remember what the little cute little boy that they were trying to do? What were they trying to feed him? What were they trying to feed? Remember they made the oatmeal? Yes. They put blood in the oatmeal right underneath. Hey, Cookie. You need me? They put blood in the oatmeal, right? Trying to make the little one eat it. Why? Because it would corrupt him, and that his auric field would be more permissible, right? It would make him more vulnerable to attacks. So they were trying to feed him things that cloaked looked like food, but underneath had blood, right? Okay. That's exactly what they're doing, the 7%, okay? And also, they create a lot of heartache. Heartache also is something that is meant to lower the frequencies, especially the females, that generally hold a higher harmonic frequency by default, just by the nature of us being able to have children, and to create life. They want to lower that frequency, so they create a lot of heartache. So they geoengineer an environment that is hard to sustain healthy relationships. And because of that, it makes it permissible for women to constantly be lied to, misled, meant to feel like they're lower, constantly criticized. Oh, they're out. Look, they're out. Look at it. Look. Uh-oh, Babette. Okay, Babette, look. Who let the dogs out? Woof, woof, woof. Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Woof, woof. Okay, hold on, y'all. See them? Say high five. Where's... Uh-oh, Babette's here. Oh, say hi, Babette. You want to say something? You have a message? You have a message for them? What's your message? What's your message? You have a message? Telepathic. Give him a telepathic message. What do you have to say? Opening conversation. What are you saying to them? Oh, wait, my water bottle. Okay, hold on. Who let the dogs out? Woof, woof, woof. Who let the dogs? Oh, come on. Okay, hold on, y'all. They let the dogs out. Woof, woof, woof. Okay. Babette don't want to go anywhere. Okay, hold on. Babette said, "Screw y'all." Okay. You let the bandits out. Yeah. Babette doesn't want to. Hold on. Babette is not wanting to go inside. Who let the dogs out? Woof. Thank you, baby. Okay, hold on. Thank you. Okay, sorry, y'all. Aren't they so cute? All right. They create a lot of heartache in women. So if you notice, a lot of our lives as women have been really affected by, by a lot of the narrative, like creating housewives of everything, like housewives of LA, housewives of Atlanta, and it was nothing but a whole bunch of hookers that were stealing people's husbands and violating people's nuptials. Okay, so purposefully made to lower the harmony and the feeling of security that women have when they're very in a loving, healthy, monogamous relationship. Women feel the best and most secure when they're harmonized in a beautiful union. And because the Matrix knows this, it purposefully, the 7%ers make sure that they create non-harmony within the relationships of women by basically promoting pornography, which desensitizes and de-incentivizes males from engaging and hunting for females as normal. Men are incentivized to pursue women when they aren't being overly stimulated by sexual depravities and unhealthy propaganding of sex in a very low vibrational ways, non-loving. Okay. And anyone in here knows, if you've ever had love in your life with a partnership, you know how beautiful it is and how harmonic it is and how amazing you feel and how safe and secure and how feminine and how we as women, when we're in those healthy, nurturing relationships, we are the greatest creators. I mean, your best paintings, your amazing novels and beautiful, cultivating, gardens and epicurist kind of frequency is so beautiful. And the best mothers who are allowed to be in a fulfilling, healthy union with a healthy partner generally raise the healthiest children. Okay. And when you destabilize a woman by taking away her partnership, and in the melanated community, brown men are attacked constantly, challenged. They're made to feel demasculated. They're meant to. They always have to lower their strength or minimize how they are perceived by others, because if they're strong and they're confident, they're perceived as a threat. And as Daryl in our group said, a lot of our melanated men are basically being prodded and sold to people who fetishize them by other complexions of women, because they want them to stay away from mating with brown women to keep that that enclave of protection and privacy that stays within brown families. That's why when desegregation happened, it ruined brown men and brown women's family dynamics. I didn't know, big up to Daryl, who's in our Zumbi group. He spoke about the fact that all brown athletes, when they're in college, I didn't know this. I think it's I forgot what it is. What do they call the A1 schools for sports? All of those sports are in primarily lunar areas, like in Wisconsin, in Du Bois, where else? in places where there's a lot of D1, thank you, D1 schools, they're all in non-melanated communities, most of them, and it's purposefully to make brown males mate with only lunar females, and lunar females are promoted with social media to fetishize males, like in, you know, so-called slavery days, to fetishize males so that they're receptive to sexual activities with brown men to keep them from mating with with the women of their communities. I didn't know that. I didn't know that, you know, big up to our Sun Stars who shared this with me. So now you have, so all that wealth is now, you know, especially if they end up being, you know, scouted and, you know, and they end up being someone who is contracted in, you know, NBA or, you know, the NFL or anything. Now their income and their money, because remember, women, it doesn't matter where the woman comes from, she will all the resources go into her pool, into her family dynamics. So now you have melanated men who are pooling their resources into non-melanated communities, outsourcing that which would help the melanated communities thrive. So it's purposefully done by your wonderful governments. Okay. And people say, please, please, if you come in here and say, why do you bring up color? Why do you keep bringing up complexion? I don't see color. Please stop it. Please. I know you're under mind control, but coming to this channel should really blow your mind control programming and take you out of that MK Ultra, because you think I shouldn't speak about colors because you don't have any. If you think that I'm speaking of color too much, it's because, listen, let me say it like this. If I am a person who is thin, right? And you know I'm not. I'm a thin person. I've been thin all my life. I come from thin people. And then I hear fat people talking about how they're discriminated, and fat people talking about how they got problems, and fat people talk about they can't get out of bed because they eating donuts at night. Fat people talk. I can't relate to it. I can't even speak on it because it's not what I. If I'm a young thin girl who's always been thin, come from thin people and around thin people, I can't even conceptualize what a fat person goes through. It's not even in my lexicon. I don't even think about it until they say it, and then I think they're complaining about it because I'm like, what are you complaining about? Just lose some weight, because I don't know. So I'm just saying, stop telling brown people to stop talking about color because they have color. You don't. So you don't know what is occurring with them. You don't know what it's like to walk in a room where everything about you is offensive because the entire environment is built upon systematic marginalization of melanated people because they are the dominating complexion on the planet. So they are perceived as a threat. There's only 7% of Europeans, lunars, on this planet. 7%. 7. The majority of this firmament, underneath this firmament, are melanated people. There's only 7%, y'all. So if there's only 7%, you are not hated, but you are why do you think Bill Gates is going around trying to kill as many black people as possible in Africa and everywhere else? Because they outnumber. We are the global majority. Brown people, the global majority. So stop telling brown people to stop it, because it doesn't make sense how you have 7% of the population non-melanated, but the entire planet is being ran by non-melanated people. What kind of technology are they using? Now, I have lunar people who get it, so I'm not talking to them, and they already know. Because my lunar homegirls, they rock. They ride or die. They understand. They know what's going on with the communities. They don't even come with that because they understand. They're conscious. But for those who are suffering from MK Ultra, and brown people are too, they don't have a conception of what is going on with the AI technology, that I don't know what kind of technology they use to subjugate all brown people under one umbrella of non-brown people. It doesn't make sense. That has to do with the technology that Roosevelt signed the contract to sell brown people out and use as resources for food or fodder, or for using organs for organ harvesting. That is not only in this plane of existence, the organs are also being transported into other dimensions where they're using those organs to sustain themselves because they don't have enough genetic dexterity. So the 7% is basically ruling over this planet and trying to control the global majority because they're threatened by those numbers. And if they don't do it, they feel like they'll be phased out. But it's not being phased out. It's just being friendly to who you're around. I'm okay with my lunar girlfriends going to the house seeing beautiful statues of like European culture and paintings, and so beautiful. I love it. I think it's healthy. I actually think it's healthy to walk into their homes and see beautiful images of their ancestors and their genetics. I think it's wonderful. And I support it 1000%. My lunar girlfriends, if they have blonde hair and blue eyes and they're attracted to men who are lunar, who have blue eyes or green eyes or, tall with light skin, I wouldn't ever ask them, why wouldn't you get with a black man? Why would you do that? Like, why would I make my lunar girlfriends feel bad for loving themselves? So you shouldn't feel like you have to dominate, because you can love who you want. But darn Skippy, you shouldn't force other people to do that, to switch. Come in my house and say, oh, you have a lot of brown images. But if I had a white Jesus in my house, you wouldn't mind, right? Because you would know that I'm one of those who don't love myself. I have an image of something in my house that is a progenitor of, and a reminder of the sleep and the enforcement and the violence and the subjugation that was perpetuated to make me take on someone else's handler. So don't come in here with that nonsense, okay? If you wanted the others, you should understand everything under this umbrella, in this firmament, is got some form of mind control programming running them, okay? But you shouldn't come to this channel and think that you are going to walk around saying, I don't see color, because if that's the case, don't you ever match a handbag with your shoes. Don't you ever wear a shirt that matches your jacket. Don't you ever drive a car and have matching interior, okay? Because if you don't see color, where does that start and where does it end? Okay? So anyway, so these 7% are basically trying to muddy up. Now with women, they muddy up the heart, making women's hearts broken, creating systems where men are not incentivized to have sex with them. And also they created the worm. And I know many of you, I talked about the vril. And the vril, many of you think the vril goes in the eye. And I'm not saying that it doesn't go in the eye and hijack the cerebral cortex by going in the eye and infesting the person. But we found out that the vril it's definitely those things, those white fibrous clots were being found in people's bodies. And I said it looked like a worm. It looks like they were vril. But now we found out that having a worm in your butt, in your anus cavity, it actually hijacks the person. It taps into the spine and it goes up the cerebral, the spine, the kundalini, and it hijacks them, making them crave to have sex with men. And that's how it's able to pass itself along. That's why in the gay male community, there's a lot of promiscuity, because the worms inside of their butts are craving to shed themselves and to spread all through them like a community, like very communal. And if you watch The Body Snatchers, you remember that once that the body snatcher got one, it was trying to send those pods all over the place, but it's basically a worm. And I challenge any gay men in here, any gay man, if you think that I'm lying, go do a parasite cleanse for at least 30 days and you tell me if you still craving sex to have with men. Okay? And if you think I'm lying, go and watch the zombie snail and the zombie ant. When a parasite as skinny as a little pinworm goes inside of an insect and hijacks its brain and progenerates it and makes it do things that's against its natural propensity in order for it to replicate itself and to spread. Okay, so a lot of the reasons why we got have a lot of this weird dark behavior and men not wanting to be as women as often, and a lot of men that normally weren't homosexual now starting to become more homosexual, is because of the worms. And I think it's the vril. Okay, the worm that's basically an alien being fed through certain kinds of kill shots. Because remember when everybody was cleaning themselves after 2020? That's the video they took down. This might be taken down again. Let's hope it stays up. Remember that kill shot they give to everybody? And then, you know, people were getting sick. So a lot of the gay, straight, and everybody community was cleaning up, eating well, you know, trying to get better, detoxing, doing parasite cleanses, taking, you know, that stuff that they tell you not to take. Because, you know, I was taking ivermectin. I was taking goat dewormer, horse strength. That's what I was taking. But they were taking all that, and guess what? Their propensities were changing. So what did they do? They said monkey balls is out. So all the gay community, they showed a whole bunch of good-looking gay men with bumps all over their faces. You already know gay men love, you know, they're very good with aesthetics. They saw them bumps all over those men's faces. They were going to go take that shot, that monkey balls. So you don't remember, nobody talked about why it was only the gay community that they were put on, gay men particularly, they were telling them to come out and get the monkey balls shot, right? Oh, the monkey balls, how come it disappeared, y'all? How come it disappeared? Where'd the monkey balls go? Do you know how many gay men went to go get monkey ball shots? Do you know why it was only them? Because the vril in their butts was all gone. And they couldn't have a whole bunch of men wanting to mate with females again and creating strong, virile children to come against their systems. They needed to have you under mind control with the worm in your butt, making you want to only be with men, hijacking your brain, messing with your sexuality. So the 7% is dirtying. They're dirtying everyone. And also, you know, I found this out, which is really frightening, is that the whole marital system was a ritual to basically put a bind on women and men so that even if you thought you were getting a divorce, you were going to be punished and karmically have repercussions for violating your agreements, like treaties. So when you get married, you do a ritual and a contract. And if you think you get a divorce, there's no such thing. The original contract has to be upheld. So you got people over here, this is how they muddy up everybody. You got people over here that are married and then they decide they want to get rid of their husbands or get rid of their wives, and they get a divorce and they move on with other people, but they don't know. They wonder why their lives are not as good or bad things are happening or tragedy occurs, is because you're violating your original contracts. And that is until death do you part. Now, if you had that in your rituals, in your statements, it doesn't matter if you get a divorce, there's no such thing. The original contract stands because you made the contract until death do you part. So you basically tether yourself for life until one of the partners of the original contract dies. The marital system was a setup to contract you into relationships in a chaotic system where you would be bound by a ritual and a contract that is going to be upheld even after you think it has been ended. That is what the 7%ers are doing. Okay? So they're muddying everybody up, making everyone destroy themselves, breaking up the beautiful possibilities of having wonderful relationships with each other, destroying the beautiful harmony between man and woman that would come naturally and organically. Okay. All right. So that's the 7%. Okay. And then we talk about worshiping under the Baphomet and losing your life force at a 33% higher rate. So they require soul essence, a blood sacrifice. So those who worship the Baphomet, there's people who worship the Baphomet. And I really think brown people should reconsider this. I know that many of our amazing our occult teachers were really promoting for Baphomet worship. But I want to say that, you know, and you can actually vet this out yourselves. The majority of people that worship the Baphomet, if they are not doing blood sacrifices, because the Baphomet pulls from your energy. And if you're worshiping it, it requires your energy in order to sustain that kind of, uh, like it's almost like a sapphire, like a parasitic relationship. So if you're worshiping under the Baphomet, you lose some of your life force. And in order to re-up it, you lose it at about 33%. I think that's why they use the 33 all the time. And you lose it about a 33% higher rate. So they require soul essence. So if you are worshiping under the Baphomet and you aren't doing soul child sacrifices or blood sacrifices, you're going to probably die earlier. Okay? In order to, you got to recompensate for your life force being drawn out from the Baphomet. So if you notice that people worship the Baphomet, they don't live very long if they're not doing blood sacrifices. If a lot of the brown community, if you look at some of the people, look at all the people who worship the Baphomet and see if they're still living or if they're healthy. I just want to throw that out there because I know some brown people, and I want you to realize if you mess with that Baphomet, it's going to take away from your life essence, and it's going to make you very sick. Okay? I haven't ever watched anyone who worshipped the Baphomet who wasn't murdering or doing horrendous things to maintain their life force that's living healthy now. You can verify if this is right or wrong. Okay? Please, just let me know. Okay? Be careful with that Baphomet. And you know, I always think that if you want to verify something, look at the things around you to use it as a verification. Okay? Okay, let's go. Say, hold on. I talk about the lipless hybrids, the binary. Oh, so when I jumped into the other timeline, I did it again. It was like slight, but in the other timeline that I jumped, I think it was the same timeline that probably Brother Rich, where he had the harem. I think it's where he existed because I had it again, and I was aware Brother Rich was somewhere, but I didn't go to contact him because I had a memory of like one of the girls calling me from the house. But at the same point, the girl who called me from the house, she had an afro, and her afro had binary codes coming out of it. So whatever dimension or other parallel I was coexisting with Brother Rich when he had the harem and Coach Carlson, which it's not my cup of tea, but there were binary codes coming out of this woman's afro. And every time, and the afros, maybe I don't have an understanding, but her afro had binary codes. Literally, when she was talking, if she had like she was elated or happy or excited, codes would come out of her afro. That was that realm. So I just want to mention that. And in my realm, now I hear church bells again. Remember I told you I didn't hear church bells? This new realm with the lipless people, now there's church bells again. So I relocated to. So where I relocated to, I hear church bells, beautiful bells every day, like 3 or 4 times a day. Giant apes, I talked about that. Okay. Now the 5% are, okay, so the 5% are the people that are in between. They're kind of like purgatory people. The 5% are the between people. They're like the Pinocchio people, like Pinocchio. So the 5%ers I perceive to be the Pinocchio people. You know how Pinocchio was created, like a golem? You know how the Jews say golems are created? So Pinocchio was created and, oh, the bird is shaking. Wait, look at this, y'all. Look. You think that's normal? Look. That's got to be a robot. Look. Why is the bird shaking? Look, y'all. Do you see him? Did you see that, y'all? Did you see that? Oh, they're all watching me. The birds aren't real. Is this Trump's spy system? Excuse me. I am a migrant. Can I get free tickets? I wonder if I'm a migrant. Do I get tickets one way? Yeah, I'm a migrant. Can I get a free ticket? Oh, I want a free ticket. So I think if I say I'm a migrant, so y'all, I can be a migrant if I get tickets to go wherever I say I go. You know what I'm saying? I might get free tickets, right? I think Trump has these birds out spying on people to try to find out yes, I'm a migrant. I want free tickets to go back home. Oh, they're having sex. Holy cow, look. They're having sex. Is this how pigeon? Is this a Trump? Is Trump sending out pigeons that are having sex in public? This is sick. Did you ever see pigeons having sex before? What kind of, this is pervert, what kind of world? You couldn't see it, y'all? Did you see it? Oh my God, I feel like I've been abused. What kind of sick, what? Why'd they come over here just to have sex? I think this is the Trump birds. The Trump birds. Anyway, I'm trying to see if Trump will send me back to another country. So I don't know why y'all mad at the Trump sending people back. I say we should all utilize the governmental system. They got government funds to come here. Why can't we use it to go on a vacation? So I think you should get a little accent. Call yourself Rosita, Francis, Eduardo. Get yourself a flight going to Dominican Republic. God darn it. Did you hear that they raided Puerto Rico? Got rid of all the Dominicans? They go and buck wild. Wow, the birds anyway, y'all, I'm distracted. So the 5%ers are like the Pinocchio people. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm really perverted. I didn't mean to show you. I hope there's children on here. I hope no children saw the birds having sex. I didn't want to pervert you. But okay, so the 5%ers are like the Pinocchio beings. They're trying to be real. They're trying to attract soul essence so that a soul can be encased in that actual form, but they still have to be able to validate that they can be real. So I perceive there's like a 5%ers, 5% of the population that's like Pinocchios. They're not real. They kind of have soul essence, but they're not soul-based beings. But they're here to kind of gain that energetic sourcing that will allow them to grow and perhaps be able to host a soul. This just is my perception. If you have a different perception, I got fur on me, y'all. Sorry. I bet left fur all over me. So that's the 5%ers. Okay, let me go on. Okay, so Pinocchio has a beginning. Pinocchio and the ability to gain a soul. Light and dark doubles they have. Doppelganger energetically to sully and to. Okay, so what's happening now? What I notice is that they have energetic doppelgangers now. Light and dark souls. I don't like to use that, but it just means that someone who's higher and lower, kind of like a twin, like something that represents the light part of you, some represents the dark part of you. But when they see that you're doing something in this particular realm, what I notice is that they'll create a geo-engineered another character that looks like you, but holds a lower frequency. Let me say that again. So there's beings here like yin and yang. Thank you, Oracle. Like yin and yang. Kind of like they hold. So I see like generally, like let's say you're on here on YouTube. Let's say it's a guy and you're really generating really positive things. You're having your guys do parasite cleansing so they're not engaged in homosexual anal activity with fecal material on their penises. Okay. Their wands, right? Because your wand can't be magical if it has poop on it. Like if your wand has fecal material and you want to stick it in something where poop comes out, it's not magical. So you're over here online progenerating for men to be healthy. You're making them accountable. You're making them choose proper, healthy women to create beautiful, healthy children with, to really sustain healthy households. And then all of a sudden you start hearing of another person who looks similar to you, who holds a similar frequency, who's doing the opposite. He's over there telling everybody to be a polygamist, to be a whore, to treat women low vibrationally, encouraging them to be sexually deviant, promoting low frequency music. He looks like you. He acts similar to you, but he's not you. He's over there dropping it like it's high. He's drinking Hennessy on his lives. You over there juicing. Okay. He's over there. He's got like 5 low vibrational women, walking around. They're smoking weed all day. They don't even, snorting all kinds of mushrooms up their nose. Okay. But he's an energetic doppelganger, purposefully created to bring a low frequency so that when people are directed to you online, automatically they're recommended to them as well. And remember, what's usually something that is like low vibrational or enticing, or like gaslighting, sometimes will pull people to them just for curiosity. It's just the nature of a human being. So now you have a dark doppelganger who looks like you, is not you, who's holding an energy, and they were purposefully created to try to divert and draw people away from your light-hearted, your positivity. So copycats, yes, Earth, Ken, 144, copycats. So you'll see people that will take somebody else's information, as we saw with mine. I won't mention her again because I think she left me alone. I don't even know if she left me alone, but copy it, but has a dark energy. It's kind of like that. And then people will always compare you to that other person, like, oh, you remind me of so and so. See how they do it? They tether another dark energy to you. So to try to sully someone else's vibration. Okay? That's what the bastards do. Okay? So they try to do that to the 3%ers. So they're trying to copy a 3%er's frequency so that they can lure, souls that aren't aware to those other platforms. Okay. Now this is something that I was listening to Rod. I should have Rod on. I think I'm going to have Rod. Because I just settled down. I was supposed to have Rod on with me for an interview. I'm going to try to do him on Twitter, y'all. Because I want to agitate Elon Musk, the Bioborg, and see if he's really, doing things on his channel. I'll think about it this week if I have time. But I was listening to Rod, and what I noticed about soul beings, a lot of them have the Mongolian spots. Now, you know why I say that is because he said something about taking silver to protect one from the sun. I never heard that before, but I know silver was taken for a lot of reasons, especially when children are being born, to get rid of diseases as a disinfectant. It harmonizes the body, what have you, right? So he mentioned that, but I noticed, but he was saying that silver turned your skin blue, copper actually turns your skin green. And I think it could be an indication of kind of bringing back the human form to what it originally looked like. That's why we see a lot of green and blue deities on a lot of, the ancient figures, especially in Indian, especially in places where there's melanated people, like in India, right? You see a lot of Ganesh and a lot of the Kali, all like brown and silver, right? So the Mongolian spot, if you notice, a lot of children that are melanated, a lot of the indigenous children have it, because I know myself, my children, all of my family have them. I actually think that's an indication of soul essence in a being. I actually think that could be an indication, one of the indications, not all, one of the indications of a soul encased being, in an avatar. And being from some of those beings that originally were those colors, because a lot of the children who come from certain backgrounds have that Mongolian spot. Okay, he was mentioning that. I thought was very interesting, the green patch, right? So I actually think it may be an indication of a soul encased being. I can't verify it totally because I don't know everyone who has it, but I would just say, oh, someone's texting me at the same time. I just remember, from who I know, the people who I know who have it, they remind me of soul. They have their soul being, they act like soul beings, meaning that they aren't looping all the time. I think that the birds are just, I think the birds are just, I'm sorry, I'm just I'm in a new environment, so I'm fascinated by the birds. They're doing some really interesting things. And also it could be an indication of the original Israelites, because I know in the Americas, I gotta ask if Africans get it. If anybody from Africa, do you guys get and from Europe? But I do have girlfriends from Ireland. Big ups of the Irish. Let me give a shout out to the Irish and the Scotties because of course, we have Ruby. Big ups to Ruby, who's in Scotland, and we have our homegirls. I gotta give a shout out to Ireland, just overall. I don't think you realize that the Irish are the only ones who really fought and aren't under mind control programming like a lot of the other countries are. They are the only ones actually standing up in Europe right now to the highest degree of the atrocities that is happening over in the Middle East, which actually was Africa, right? And what's happening in the Congo. So I gotta give a shout out. Um, I gotta give a shout out to all of the Irish, Ireland. My Irish girls are I'm talking about they're gully. Like they're like the Negroes of Europe. And I don't say it negatively. I'm just saying they stand up for rights. They'll stand up against the queen, the king. They will stand up. They will fight together. They're very unified. And they were the most mistreated in the Americas from other European countries. If you remember, the Irish were treated like garbage. I mean, I don't think you realize like the slave ships were actually holding a lot of Irish, and the way that they were treated and marginalized and killed off in the coal mines, just made to do dirty work. They remind me of the people like in Africa over the same things that were happening in the Congo as happened to the Irish. So I don't think people know that, but that's why I give them such props because I always admire a strong people that really stand in righteousness, even if it's against everyone else's opinion. I don't think people know that. If you don't know that, you should look at their history. Really. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying Irish people don't have issues in the States after generations of being here, because we're all mentally ill after being in the United States for too long. Even fakes will destroy your whole peace of mind and your psychological dexterity. But the Irish don't get as much credit for being, I actually think they're soul beings because they come from a non-conformist kind of mindset, consciousness. That non-conformity makes me think they're soul beings. Okay? The Scotties are like that too, but remember, look at how the UK treats the Scotties. Even in my group dynamics, there was a person who was in my group that was from the UK, a very nasty woman. And she actually was nasty to a woman in my group that was from Scotland, just overtly nasty to her for no apparent reason. And then that let me know that I was like, oh, they treat this like a caste system. So they treat the Scotties and the Irish really nasty because of something energetically about them, maybe intimidated, or maybe they've been subjugated to like propaganda to make them feel or seem lower. But I actually think they're higher. Okay, so I think it's very interesting. So I want to give a shout out to the Irish for really, well, yeah, no, the Irish in sold out in a couple. Remember, I said if they came to the United Fakes, I'm talking about the Irish from Ireland. I'm talking. Listen, all of us all of you who are not from the Americas who came here, we're all under mind control. The United Fakes has destroyed everything. So if they were Irish and they came to the States, yeah, but I'm talking about the Irish from Ireland. I'm talking about them people. Because they still buck wild over there, standing up for rights. I'm not talking about the ones who've been under mind control here, like all of us. We're all under some form of mind control, and it's hard to shake it because then when you break some form of mind control, another one kind of pops up to try to replace it that you didn't even know was there. Yeah, but I've known a lot of Irish people that I went to school with, and I remember just the way that they were treated is still kind of like they act like they've suffered from post-traumatic stress syndrome throughout the generations, like even with alcoholism. Yeah, yeah. Even with alcoholism, because they have a sensitivity to alcohol too. I almost feel like that's a coping mechanism to deal with the stressors of being generationally abused by our handlers. I'm sorry, I shouldn't. What the heck? Somebody's trying to get my location. Who's doing that telepathically? No. Yo, my other phone just asked for my location. Who of you is using your diabolical magic to try to find out where I am? I won't. Oh, snap. I turned the location off. It just tried. Holy crap. See, some people try to use it, the telekinesis when they want to find something. You know how slick that was? They put it on my other phone. And I could have accidentally just pushed it. That's probably the one who was the nameless one who was mistreating my Ruby in Scotland. Anyway, so we talked about that. What else? Oh, I think I was going to bring up the fact that, I know I'm getting a little slow. I was going to bring up the fact that the killing the cats, I actually think that that might have been code for the gates are open. You know how the whole fake Pope, the demon of mass destruction, he opened up the 5 gates of hell. You know, we don't even know what he opened. All kinds of crazy. It got cold. All the gates were open. I actually think when they were talking about the Haitians killing the cats and saying that all of them were eating the cats, I actually think it was code for gates were open. I almost feel like that was the way that they talked to each other, saying that the gates were open, because remember the gates, the actual stargates and the vortexes are guarded by Lyrians, lying type beings, like almost like you know, the being from the witch, the wardrobe, and the lion, the lion, the witch, and the wardrobe, the lion, the witch, and the wardrobe. It was my favorite book. You call it Narnia, right? The more modern groups know it as Narnia. The book is what I read. My mom used to read it to me, and then I love. It's my favorite book. But you remember, like Osgard? What was his name? Osgard? What was his name, y'all? What was the name? Asgard? 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 What was his name? Asgard. Thank you, China. Asgard. He was the flying lion, and then you look at the Sphinx, right? The Sphinx has wings too. And the Sphinx is guarding one of the, the pyramids over in the god, over in Egypt, ancient Kemet. I don't even say Egypt, ancient Kemet, right? But those are the Lyrians guard all the gates, the stargates. I actually think now, because of Asgard, probably all the cats, the cat beings that guard the gates, they probably have wings. It's like a hierarchy. And probably the ones that are able to guard the gates, they probably have wings, right? Remember years ago I did the video about having contact with the Lyrians, and they were connected to the Bolsheviks. Remember that? And I woke up and I was over by a round dome, like looked like I was in Russia. You gotta look at that old video. Sometimes I look at my old videos, like, wow, like, because I made so many videos. Whenever I have a encounter with something, I kind of document it. But Asgard was guarding the gates. I almost feel like the cats, when I mention the cats dying or being taken out by Haitians, it was a sign that something was opened, because that meant that the gates were open. Now they weren't protected. That's just what I think. Okay, so let's talk about the planes being taken down, and also let's talk about the orbs and the beings that are here. The orbs actually, the orbs are still here. The light ships. They're not what you think. They're scouts. Okay. There are others here, like I told you, the so-called Sasquatch, Bigfoot. Those are ape beings. I found that out when we were looking at these large cloaked apes that were coming off the ships, and they were trying to tell South Carolinians that there were apes around to try to cloak the fact that these others had come here intergalactically, interdimensionally, are now here. So it's funny, whenever something comes here and they want to kind of make it seem like, distract you and make it seem like it's something more normal or something that is more earthbound, they'll say, oh, well, the apes escaped from South Carolina lab, and they've never followed up with that story either. What happened to those apes that escaped from South Carolina lab and were all over and people were supposedly seeing them? That was cap. They wanted to distract you, because if you saw the big apes that were huge, we saw one that was in that video we watched on Zoom. It was almost as tall as a tree, and it was cloaking itself. You could see its face when it kind of like you had to look really strong. You could see its face. Remember, the so-called Sasquatch, I personally think that the Sasquatch and the Bigfoot are apes, and they're scouts. They were sent here for one cycle to be a scout here. That's why most of them only come as males. Most of them are males. There's no females here. I've only heard of once or twice there have been females denoted as being, but how do you verify that? But as far as I know, it's mostly males. Those are scouts. And I actually think the bigger apes are here to pick up their homies. I just feel like the bigger apes that are here, they're not just here for X and giggles. That's what I think. When we look at something like Chewbacca, Chewbacca could be like, if you look at Chewbacca looks like a classic, almost like an orangutan. Very similar, like long arms, very similar. So I actually think that the Bigfoot and the Sasquatch are ape beings. And I think their homies are here to pick them up. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but after seeing those tall beings cloaking themselves, I have a feeling that they're coming here to, like E.T. got caught up in a planet for a while. That's what I think. Maybe, we'll see. And also with the planes that were crashing, I really think you have to realize, y'all, we have orbs in the sky. We have things happening in the sky that your government is not speaking on at all. You still have light ships all in the sky doing light shows all over the place. I had an orb follow me all the way when I was moving, all the way down a hill, down a mountain, following me the whole way, guarding me, just watching me. And I felt safe because of who I'm connected to. But they're still here, and no one's really talking about the fact that they're here. And I'm telling you that you will get a full if anyone ignores it, I think around March, April, May. Around March and May is when you're going to get a full eye candy, like full eye candy in the sky, where it's going to be I don't even know how it's deniable now with ships in the sky coming out of the water. But some people are still suffering from, mind control programming and, basically just cap consciously where they could see something in the sky and just totally deny it. Okay, but those planes being shot down were purposefully done. You have to understand, y'all, there is a battle going on for supremacy. And I personally, this is my opinion, think that what happened in Mexico with all the assassinations of all the previous administration, I think it's happening now within this administration, getting rid of all the loose ends that cause problems for the orange one. If you look at how many people were assassinated in Mexico when the new female president took power, she didn't put her hand on the Bible either. Neither did Trump when he went to the inauguration. He did not place his hand on the Bible. So he is under the handle of beings that feel the Bible is an abomination. Whenever you don't see them put their hands there, that means the handlers, that is being told that they are not to make any allegiance to any of the Christianity. I don't know if you peeped that. When his wife, looking like an ant woman, I told you she's some sort of insectilian, had that big rimmed hat, very, very very ritualistic, very witch-like, very, I don't know if you remember watching the video with Beyonce and the lemonade, right? And she was wearing that, the hat, it's called, I forgot what it's called. There's a hat, it's like in New Orleans they wear it. It's like a witch's hat. It's like a brujana thing. It's a name for it. I don't know the name, right? But she was wearing the hat, kind of hiding her eyes. But she held up the Bible, and the orange man didn't put his hands on it. You didn't notice that? You didn't peep that? And then she was wearing the black and white, which is classic Masonic language. The black and white, duality thing. And then you had a whole Elon Musk put a Nazi symbol on, and none of the Jewish community even blinked an eye. So that lets me know you got to be the complexion for protection. Because if I did a whole Nazi pound to my chest and out like Hitler, what? How you going to make a whole Nazi symbol and not one of the so-called CPAC or the whole Jewish community or Israel even, we know he's special. How do you know that? How do you know Kanye West wasn't special? Kanye West was diagnosed with a whole psychiatric issue, but you made sure to take him down when he said some crazy things about your community. You made sure you took away his deals for Nike. What was it? whatever shoe deal he has, shoe deal. And then basically you basically killed him, replaced him with a clone, and now the clone is walking around with a prostitute while his children are dancing with their mother, the dark black hole of horrors of non-destruction, rhythmless. Adidas. His daughter is dancing on TikTok when he did not want his child. People don't realize Kanye would, as much as you thought he was crazy, he wouldn't have ever had his daughter on TikTok dancing with a halter top with her mother, and rhythmless at that. He would have got her dance lessons so at least she could catch the beat. All right? You got her dancing rhythmless, and then you got him walking around with a whole whore, walking around with her panties and no shoes and a blonde, her dyeing her dark hair blonde to let them know she got everything under control. They got rid of Kanye already, y'all. He don't say nothing. He's not saying anything. That man is not even alive. If he was alive, he would have taken his children from the whole of mass destruction. Okay? You sitting around thinking that man is real, he's gone. They killed him. They got rid of him. And now he's replaced with some sort of swollen clone that is walking around getting blowjobs on a ship in Italy. And you think he would ever have his daughters, he would ever do that publicly, knowing that his daughters could possibly see that or hear that? That isn't the Kanye West that I know. He would never do that. You had his daughter on Lion King. She couldn't even sing. She couldn't sing, or she couldn't even dance. You think he wouldn't have... Listen, there's nothing wrong with children not being able to sing and dance. She don't have natural rhythm, okay? Her mother is some sort of diabolical insectilian hybrid queen, okay? So I didn't expect her to have rhythm. But the fact of the matter is, he would have got her dance lessons and singing lessons. He would have never put his child up there on the chopping block to be criticized like that because he's too proud. He's just too proud. And now she's on TikTok rhythmless. I think it's an abomination. It's so sad. That's why you need to watch who you mate with, y'all. Stop mating with hybrids. Then your children will start displaying non-harmonic, non-earthly based behavior because they're not really whole human. He mated with a whole insectilian, and his clone is with some other other hybrid of some sort. Okay? You saw the guys that come off of these women. I don't know what's wrong with you. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't trust any man who jumps off the side and mates with these hybrids. Okay? They're lipless. They're all getting lip. And that's another thing. I jumped into this dimension. I don't know what's going on. They don't have lips. All these women are getting lip implants. Are they lip implants? What are those things? They look like they have ducks in their lips. What are those things in their lips? The ones who don't have no lip, are lipless, they got these things in their lips. Look. They're walking. Remember like that chick Sprinkle? Yeah. Remember like when Jamie Foxx? Ooh, like Jamie Foxx? What was Jamie Foxx doing? Jamie Foxx was making fun. Yeah, girl. Yeah. Duck lips. What's going on? Why are they doing it? So the lipless people are a whole nother species, y'all. Stop mating with a lipless species. I don't know if they're birds. Maybe they're bird beings. I don't know. They look like grays. They might be a type of grays. Y'all are just giving your sperm, your donation of your DNA, merging with these hybrids, and then your children come out without rhythm. They come out without lips. I mean, what are you doing? And don't talk about me saying, oh, why are you talking about lunars? No. Oprah Winfrey does not have rhythm, nor does Gail. Hybrids don't have rhythm. They're not naturally from here. Things that are not naturally from this earth, everything in this realm has rhythm that's connected to the nature of this. Well, we don't even know. This planet isn't even real. This is a hologram, but is natural to the terrain. The frogs, the bees, everything has rhythm. Everything, like listen to the sound of the pigeons. Everything's rhythm. Everything that's from here has rhythm. When something doesn't have rhythm, it means it's not from here. It isn't birthed from a natural, harmonic, biological being. organic being. And it's not that you have to dance, but you got to be able to catch the beat. If you don't have the beat naturally, you're not from here. You're some sort of hybrid. You're probably a Cabbage Patch, probably generations of Cabbage Patch children regenerated, over and over again. And you think that you're real. You're not. Rhythm is a sign that you're organic. It's like selling me a organic grape and there's no seeds in it. How do you have an organic grape and there's no seeds? It's not organic. You don't have to dance to like Jackson 5. I'm not saying that, but if you go to play drums, you could play drums with rhythm. You could move your hands to the rhythm of a sound. You can be harmonic. If you don't have rhythms, you're some sort of hybrid. Oprah doesn't have rhythm, and there's a whole bunch of brown people that don't have rhythm. Joe Rogan, what's his name? He don't have rhythm. Like those are hybrids. So it has nothing to do with complexion. I've seen a whole bunch of Spanish people, and I come from that Latin-based community because the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese. I seen a whole bunch of rhythm. Listen, I went to a child's play, and I'm thinking I'm going to a Latin play. It's beautiful, Latin children, I love it. And half the children had no rhythm. I thought I was being punked. Half the children on the stage had no rhythm. They could not catch the rhythm of the song. Those are hybrids. They don't come. And again, you can go into like Koreans. Go look at Koreans, South Koreans. They got rhythm. You ever see the girls? I have a whole bunch of dancers on my page on IG. They dance hip hop. They like hip hop. They dance in between a beat like Michael Jackson. You ever see the Korean dancers? Cambodians, Vietnamese, they all got rhythm. A lot of them have rhythm. If they don't have rhythm, something's wrong. They're not from here. It doesn't mean there's nothing wrong if you're a hybrid, but just I wouldn't mate with you. I wouldn't suggest anyone mating with you because you're going to create children that are non-harmonic. Your features, your arms, your structure should be all harmonic. If your features are off, you're hybrid, mixed with some sort of hybrid, because your features should all be melted together. Your phenotype, your cranial structure should be harmonic. If you have weird features, like something's big and like look at those Daros. The Daros have huge noses, and I heard they used to rape women with their noses. That's how big they were. They had like elephantitis of the nose. That's why I think the whole Ganesh thing might be owe it to because they're very close to the Daros. They might be the same. Their nose is big. Their head is like kind of like slanted and oval. That's not harmonic. That being is not from the surface. It's not from here. It looks non-harmonic. Looking at it is non-harmonic. You should be careful mating with those beings because you don't know. You see movies like Dark Seed. You remember those scary movies with children being born and the children automatically want to kill people from birth? Like that's the kind of people you can mate with if you keep mating with non-harmonic people. Because if they don't have harmony, they could be connected to a hoverboard or another community, or another like a hive mind or a program that has deviant kind of like deviant like frequencies, like promoting frequencies in them to like in a hive way to make them more negative. Oh. Anyway, y'all. All right, y'all. I think I've talked to you too much. I hope this is okay. I was going to talk to you about a lot of things. I kind of went off center, but please be mindful that the others are, some are here and some are on the way. If you feel like you're imbalanced, balance yourself out. The reset is on and popping. There's going to be a lot more crashes. And like I said, I personally think that the crashes that you just saw in DC and Philadelphia were geoengineered, remote controlled demolitions created by a new regime clearing up the old regime, just like they did in Mexico. You're going to see a lot more of that. believe me, it's not a matter of the crash being, the crash was not, no. That was a targeted individuals or individual that are not good with the orange man. He's clearing like she did. Change of guards. Thank you, my love. Change of guards. Okay? You're going to see a lot more of it. Because he's a Gemini, and you Geminis do not forget. Okay? So those who came against him were talking smack about him. He's just clearing up shop. That's not what you think it is. It's not the ships. It's not the orbs that are doing it. Somebody said it's the orbs, the spaceships. No, it isn't them. They having a leg in that race. That is the orange man clearing up, just like the Mexican president cleared up her shop. And you shouldn't be shocked that you're going to see a whole lot more. Pay attention. And for those, again, on TikTok, be mindful of what you say on TikTok and the things you promote, because you are being targeted by the AIPAC from Israel, who's got the biggest and best spyware. And if you saying anything pro-Palestine, against Israel, you gonna get tagged. Okay? It's not to scare you, just know. I mean, they have technology. All the technology that we have, they have as well, and better. So I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying be aware that when TikTok switched over and was put onto a new line where now they can identify and actually spy, they have spyware on TikTok now. It was a foreign agency before. It's not. It's being tagged and now spied upon by that particular group. They wanted to know who you were and where you live and who's around you. Okay? Anyway, y'all, I just hope I was okay coming on here. My hair is a little... Ooh, I got a new haircut. See my haircut? Actually looks decent. I will be on tonight on Zoom. So Zombies, I will be making a Zoom tonight. Thank you for... I know a lot of you were calling me to come out. I just relocated. I just moved. It was a little stressful. Had a lot to do. So I should be relaxed for a little bit, decompressing. So hopefully I'll be on. I'm going to try to go on. If you want to... I don't know how you subscribe to me. Can you subscribe to people on X? I think you can. I don't know. If you want to come to me on X, I'm going to try to do the live, because I don't like YouTube messes with me all the time. I'm going to try to do the live on X. It's just really to agitate Elon Musk, because I can. I'm going to figure out how to do it, if I can. So if you want to see me on X, just... I don't know if you should subscribe or... maybe I have to post it. Do you know how I do that? I don't know. Who's on X? I don't know who's on X. I don't know. Do you know how to use X? I don't even know how to use it. I'm so old school. I don't know how. I'm going to try, okay? I'll try to use it. But if I'm with Rod, I can try to do it on X, okay? Zombies will always have access to it. So, and I have a special whistleblower. Do you hear it? Listen, listen. You hear the bells? Zombies, listen. I don't want to let it. Remember I was talking about the zombies. I was like, I haven't heard bells. They got rid of the bells to get rid of the vril out of the body. And then I moved somewhere where there's bells. I almost like this is a holographic system. If you don't believe it, like every time I say never or don't or won't, that's why you need to. Let this be a reminder that stop saying that things like even when I said, oh, Rich would never have me on his show. Rich had me on his show. When you say things, be careful what you negate, because now I just moved in a neighborhood where there's bells. That's amazing. It's beautiful. That's the thing that destabilized the Venom. Remember in Venom, the bells? Anyway, I'm not going to keep you long. Anyway, if you want to join me tonight on, I'm going to be on Zoom in the next 3 hours. Let me go get something to eat. The sun is going down. I want to go and relax, get set up for Zoom tonight because I haven't seen the Zombie for a couple days because I was moving. So I'm going to go check out the Zombies tonight. Zombies, I'm going to be there with you. It's beautiful. I just want you to hear it. So everyone, no shade on anybody in here. I don't have any beef with anyone. I haven't a beef with anyone. I want everyone to just realize we're all under forms of mind control and to be mindful that the things that are being generated are all based on lies. Government systems are not something we should have. We should never be under one system of people that aren't even human ruling over us. Okay? These are not human in the congressional I was going to say the parliament. In any governmental system, they're not even human. Okay, a lot of them are just basically eating off of your woes, your sadness, and taxes. You work hard to give them a high income and a high life while everyone else is struggling to pay for tomatoes in the United States, to pay for eggs in the United States. I mean, it's abusive. Okay, they hunting people down like dirty dogs in this whole ICE thing. And these are the original people. A lot of these are the original people that used to be part of the United States and mistreating them. I hope you guys are not mistreating people who are migrants. I hope you aren't that nasty. And do realize, I want a reminder, and maybe I sound like I have a lot of compassion for them, but remember, the pooping president invited them, y'all. These are not illegal aliens that came in the country that weren't invited. This bastard invited them here. I just want to remind you that. Just like I told you before, the colonizers, the pilgrims were invited here. Now, if you come from pilgrims, did you get kicked out of the country after being invited? Are you still a byproduct? Are you living in Europe right now? Did you leave the United States after all the different wars and go back to Europe? No. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying everybody should stay, but I'm just saying stop being cruel to people that were invited here. We're not talking about the super soldiers. Those are another kind of characters, super soldiers and dark beings that were here too. We're not talking about them. We're talking about people who wanted a better life, who came to United fakes, not knowing they were being set up. Or maybe they did, but they were just hoping it would be a better outcome. But don't be cruel to people that were invited here by your government. Okay? So, chasing them down, saying you're going to be cruel. A lot of these people are families. Don't do that. Please don't be cruel to people. You wouldn't want it done to you. A lot of us who move out of the United States, we go into other countries. I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me and my family. If I was invited in and all of a sudden laws change and then all of a sudden I'm an enemy again, that's not right. We're all under the same lies and regime. We shouldn't have a government. We should be sitting in our tribes again, being with our elders and being under our own set of rules that we create in our communes. It's crazy. Anyway, so y'all, I'm out of here. I'm going to have dinner. I will see you tonight. The bells are still going. I'm really happy. The bells are still going. I'll see you tonight on Zoom. Thank you for everyone. I'm going to try to be on X. You can find me under my name on X. I'll kind of notify you when I do it. I don't know. I'm going to try to do it with Rod and my special guest that I'll be having. Whether it might be on here. It might be on Rumble. I can't figure out. And it definitely might be on X. I prefer to do it on X. I might do it on Rumble. We'll see. But I'm out of here, y'all. I hope I was Hope it was helpful, some of the things I share. Do not take everything I say at total value. Always, you should never believe me or anyone else. Do your own research. I share my opinions, the things I do know, and things that I think. But definitely always vet out all the information I give to you just for good measure, okay? And again, I'll be with you guys tonight on Zoom, okay? So I'm gonna go eat, and I will see you later, okay? Bom tarde. No, boa noite. Peace.